On Saturday, the tragic news of Dwayne Haskins passing really seemed to hit the NFL world and really the sports world by storm. It was stunning. I was at a parade, which is not the greatest place to find information like this out, but I was at a parade when I read it on my phone, so I didn't have the immediate time to let it sink in and to process exactly what had happened. But I was stunned at the news of Dwayne Haskins passing. I was less stunned with how the internet responded to the news of Dwayne Haskins passing, specifically how the media responded to the news of Dwayne Haskins passing. There's two guys we're going to zero in on, and if you were around on Saturday or Sunday, you know who I'm talking about. We'll start with the bigger of the two names for the current generation. The tweet from Adam Schefter was a horrific tweet, and it got Adam Schefter absolutely drug through the mud by NFL players, which is a tough position to be in for Adam Schefter. It's a tough position to be in for the producer of the Adam Schefter podcast. I can relate to him because he's going to be the guy that's charged with booking guests for Adam Schefter to speak with on his podcast, and he's going to get a lot of no's if people are being nice. If they're not being nice, he's going to get a lot of go F off kind of responses from teams when asking about players to jump on and join Adam Schefter's podcast. So here's what went wrong. Adam Schefter decided that he was going to, the way he phrased this sucked. I have the actual tweet here. He decided he was going to take some sort of parting shot at Dwayne Haskins. Like, for the life of me, I do not understand why he decided to phrase this the way that he did. But his initial tweet said this, and I quote, "Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, died this morning when he got hit by a car in South Florida. Per his agent, Cedric Saunders, Haskins would have turned 25 years old on May 3rd. End tweet. You should be able to see why this tweet was worded incorrectly. There is no reason, literally none, to add struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh there. That's not how you respond when somebody just died. Like, it was the same day, it was hours after Dwayne Haskins died, and you're taking a parting shot at him. Schefter deleted that tweet and reworded the tweet, taking out the struggling. And I think he called him the former first-round pick of the Washington, I think he said Commanders. First-round pick with Washington, now quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dwayne Haskins, which is the proper way to word this. It has been a very rough calendar year for Adam Schefter and Adam Schefter's credibility. Now, this is the guy that I grew up on. Like, when NFL Network was first announced and it was first brought to cable television all the way back in like 2004, 2005, or at least when I first got access to the NFL Network, it was on in my childhood home non-stop. We watched it as soon as we were allowed to watch television for the day because my parents didn't just have the television rolling. But as soon as we were able to watch television, we were flipping on NFL Network. We got very familiar with Rich Eisen and particularly with Adam Schefter because he made his name at NFL Network before he jumped ship to ESPN. And Adam Schefter was, at the time, what it feels like Woj is now for NBA fans, where he was dropping bombs. If anybody had the scoop on anything, it was Adam Schefter, and he was one of the most, if not the most, trustworthy names in NFL media. And then he jumped ship to ESPN, and for a long time, he was still in that position. He was a trustworthy guy, and everybody knew if Schefter was tweeting something, it wasn't quite gospel necessarily, but it was as close as humanly possible to becoming gospel in the National Football League. To keep it simple, the guy didn't miss. And then ESPN changed up, and Adam Schefter switched up, and he had more access in the growth and boom of social media, Adam Schefter deserves all of the criticism that he has gotten for that tweet. But this is a systemic issue with ESPN and the way that their programming has been formatted over the past couple of years, and it's only been gasoline on the fire with Adam Schefter revealing some things that he should not reveal, and with emails being unearthed that Adam Schefter did not want being unearthed. So to put it in perspective, just to name a few things, not everything, but a few things that Adam Schefter has been exposed on over the past calendar year. He dropped that Aaron Rodgers bombshell on draft day, like 30 minutes before the NFL draft started, it felt like. It was that day. It wasn't quite 30 minutes, but he dropped that bombshell on NFL draft day, and then a couple weeks later came out and said, I didn't have a source. It was just a collection of information. Rule 1 of journalism, don't reveal your source. Rule 1A, don't tell anybody that you didn't have a source. So that was bad. And then the Bruce Allen email came out where it felt like Adam Schefter was getting a little too buddy-buddy with Bruce Allen and giving him a little too much input on some of the things that he was writing. And now we have this. And again, this is just to name a few. There's been more things that he's done over the past calendar year that have led to some raised eyebrows. But now we have this. And I say this is systemic because ESPN deserves a little bit of blame here. They've had these mass layoffs, and if you watch ESPN programming now, you see the same faces on every single show. What I loved about ESPN as I was growing up is there was this semblance and this idea of diversity. It was not Stephen A. Smith on literally every single show. It wasn't Adam Schefter on almost every single show as a guy, as an analyst on the show. He'd pop in for a little bit, do a hit here, a hit there. He'd give you the news, he would scram, and then they'd turn to the analyst and say, what do you guys think? But with the birth of morning shows and debate shows, they're bringing Adam Schefter onto the set of a Get Up. They're putting him there. They want news. And then Greenberg is going to ask him, well, Shefty, what do you think? The line in the media of opinion and news has been exceptionally blurred because of that. And Adam Schefter has shifted over the past couple of years to being a guy that ESPN is allowing to put forth his opinion on, which just off the basis of that, transitioning from a news guy to an opinion guy is not unheard of, but doing both in lies an issue because you don't know and you don't seem to know. And Adam Schefter has been this is what it's been. You don't seem to realize when you should be giving news and when you should be giving opinion. And what happens is when you start giving news, your opinion seeps through and you say that Dwayne Haskins is a quarterback that is struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh. And then every single player in the National Football League gets pissed off at you because it looks like you're pissing on a guy's grave. That's how we got here. Because the line of opinion and news has been so blurred that ESPN's top NFL reporter can't seem to tell the difference right now. I blame these silly morning shows. I blame the fact that they've laid off a bunch of people, and now they're asking more of certain figures to do things. Again, it's why you see Stephen A. Smith on absolutely every single show. Like, Stephen A. Smith is decent at his job. And you could argue he's one of the best at his job, but he works 18-hour days. He's on Get Up. He's on First Take. He's on NFL Live, NBA Live. He's literally everywhere. Get that guy a break. He has that show on ESPN Plus or Disney Plus or whatever streaming service it's actually on. I know those things are technically the same thing, but they're asking too much of their talent, and therein lies the problem. They're not going to fire Adam Schefter. I don't think that's not an offense you can fire somebody for, but they need to reel him back and say, look, dude, you're a news guy. You're one of the best when it comes to news. You're a news guy. Just stick to the news. We don't need your opinion on things anymore. And slowly but surely, things will kind of get back to normal. Kind of. And then there's the Brandt stuff. And for me, this was significantly worse than what Adam Schefter did. Adam Schefter's tweet sucked, but it wasn't one of the worst things that you heard all day. Gil Brandt delivered one of the worst things that we have heard in quite some time in media. He got on NFL radio on SiriusXM, love SiriusXM. They've employed me for a couple of years. I love them very much. But they bring Gil Brandt onto NFL radio, and Gil Brandt said that Dwayne Haskins has been living dead, and then proceeded to say some not nice things about Dwayne Haskins. He's always involved in something. There's always a bad story around Dwayne Haskins. I need to make this abundantly clear. There has never, ever been a situation where I have ever looked to an opinion of a 90-year-old. Never. You don't ever, I don't care what the situation is. It could be World War II history for all I care. I do not care what the situation is. I do not ever need an immediate opinion from a 90-year-old. Your brain does not work the same at the age of 90. You know what we want from 90-year-olds? We want stories. I have two grandparents. One of them is 101. The other one is getting up there and is going to be turning 100 in just a few years. I want to hear their stories. I'm not asking them for opinions on things because they're from a different generation. They're a bit out of touch with the way that things work in today's day and age. Gil Brandt is no different. I don't care that he's an NFL Hall of Famer. That is not important for this. We don't need the opinion of a 90-year-old dude, especially when it comes to somebody just dying, because they, to an extent, have been a bit desensitized to death. I mean, look, when you're 90, you've seen some people come, you've seen some people go. It becomes like this normal thing of life, and technically, death is a normal thing of life, but you should not desensitize yourself from death. You should instead use it to emphasize the importance and the joy that life has. Saying that Dwayne Haskins was living dead does not do that. And by the way, Dwayne Haskins and all of the things that he had been wrapped up in, I know he wasn't the most mature guy in D.C. I don't know what he's been like in Pittsburgh, but I'm sure he's gotten better. The immature things that Dwayne Haskins was doing in Washington was not like all that bad. Like in the grand scheme of life, it's not like he was hanging out with Aaron Hernandez or rolling with local gang members in Loudoun County. Like, he wasn't doing any of that stuff. He's a young kid trying to figure out what it's like to be a quarterback and how to be a quarterback. So to say that he was living dead, completely out of touch, complete nonsense, and Gil Brandt should not be doing media hits. Look, he's not, like, once you hit 90, stop. I mean, what are you working for? Like, retire. Go get on a beach or something. You shouldn't be trying to, I don't care how much you love the game of football. Your time has come. Your time is gone. We don't need any of that anymore. This was just another example of how social media in particular, I mean, the Gil Brandt thing wasn't on social media. That was on a radio hit. But social media in particular is not equipped to handle anything serious in life. It always goes bad. It always goes bad.